Hello, I am Scruffsis. My pronouns are they, them. I am a non-binary creative streamer over on Twitch. My streams focus on art and creating a safe, welcoming community for trans and non-binary folk. I want anyone who comes to my chat to feel welcomed and seen as their true self. I tend to get misgendered a lot, even when I introduce myself with my pronouns. Sometimes, friends will attempt to correct the people doing the misgendering, but oftentimes it can be hard to advocate for myself when in a situation where the misgendering happens a lot. I found this mostly happens on Twitch, so I wanted to create a resource for content creators to help them better understand why being inclusive to non-binary people is important. To start, I'd like to give you the information to debunk some of the arguments that you will likely encounter as an advocate for non-binary and transgender people. The history of trans and non-binary people stretches so far back into human history that I will have to make a whole separate video covering this in the future. So, what does non-binary mean? Western culture uses a binary system of gender. Think of binary gender like binary code. You have zeros and ones, women and men. You are assigned a gender at birth based on your sexual organs. A non-binary person is anyone who does not identify as either male or female. Regardless of your assigned gender at birth, if you do not identify strictly as a man or a woman, congratulations, you are non-binary. You can be non-binary and be feminine. You can be non-binary and be masculine. You can be non-binary and use gendered pronouns. You can be non-binary and use all pronouns interchangeably. It's simply a term to describe your identity as one that is not strictly male or female. There is evidence of transgender and non-binary people as far back as ancient Egypt, so how do we get back to normalizing these identities? How do we break out of this weird obsession with binary gender? Well, we show each other basic respect. We acknowledge other people's identities and experiences. We use the correct pronouns when they are given to us. We do not try to argue something like, singular they them pronouns are grammatically incorrect. This is wrong. We learned singular they in early English, and you already use it when you say things like, somebody left their bag here. When you see the dentist, be sure to ask them about, oh, they put the receipt in the bag. These are all examples of singular they them pronouns in your vocabulary, examples that you use without thinking about them. But those are only for unknowns, they cry, determined for some reason to invalidate non-binary identities. Fine, let's add names. Logan said their parents will be in town this week. I sent Robin a birthday present. Could you ask them if it arrived? Leaf can't come, they are stuck at work. We should save them some cake. Each of these sentences is grammatically correct and respects the person's identity. To choose to put a gendered pronoun in these sentences is a deliberate choice to cause harm, because being misgendered hurts, and I think it hurts more than a lot of you realize. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words leave everlasting trauma. I was 7 years old when I first started saying, I'm not a girl. Being called a girl felt weird, it felt wrong, but I didn't have the language to explain it back then. It hurt anytime someone called me she, girl, woman. Being put on the girls' team, having to use the girls' locker room, having to check female on any form gave me this weird, sickening feeling in the pit of my stomach. Every time it made me hate myself in this way I couldn't understand. Being called my own name was like someone punching me in the gut over and over. I was being forced into a box that I didn't fit in, and I had no idea why. I didn't know how to escape it. Death often felt like the only answer. I only escaped this torment that my family, my friends, my school, my job were inflicting on me. I just wanted to know why. Why did it hurt? Why were they forcing this on me? Why was I the only one bothered by it? Why couldn't I just be me? Why did it matter to them what was in my pants? Why does it matter to you? If I'm not going to have sex with you, why does it matter what's in my pants? It's kind of perverted when you think about it, to obsess over a person's genitalia, to manipulate and traumatize them based on the kind of sex you expect them to have. Sickening. But that's what you're doing when you misgender me. You are defining me by my genitals. When you misgender me, you are cramming me back into that box. You are saying no. You will never be anything other than what was decided for you before you even took your first breath. Why do you get to be you, but I don't? Why do I have to change my face, my body, my voice just for you to show me the decency that you show everyone else? I should not feel ashamed of myself. I should not feel the need to change myself, to be seen and recognized for who I am, who I have always been. I do not owe you androgyny, femininity, masculinity. No one does. Someone misgenders me, these are the feelings they inflict upon me. These are the scars that get opened. This is the impact of one little word. It's dehumanizing. It's soul crushing. And no matter how confident I am in my identity, no matter how much I know that I am valid, that I am me, that I am worthy of respect, denying me that hurts. Now, mistakes happen. Especially as a streamer on Twitch, you cannot keep track of everyone, but that doesn't change the impact. So, now that you have a better understanding of how it feels when someone misgenders you and why it's important to use the correct pronouns for non-binary people, what do you do when you misgender someone? Correct yourself and move on. Simple, right? Sorry, they, and continue the sentence. Repeat the sentence with the proper pronoun if you feel the need to. Do not make a big deal out of it. Do not apologize profusely. Do not attempt to explain or rationalize it by relating this person back to something gendered. Oh, your voice is just so feminine. You just have such a pretty face. These statements reinforce that dysphoria, which is the opposite of what you're trying to do. Just correct yourself and move on. With practice, with correcting yourself, you won't slip up as often. Correcting yourself also helps show the individual that they are seen and respected by you. Slip-ups happen. We all understand that. And you correcting yourself dampens that hurt. What if someone else misgenders someone in my chat? Correct them. Not only are you helping to validate the non-binary person's identity to them, you are reinforcing it to the person that misgendered them. You are showing that person that non-binary identities are valid and helping them to not misgender this person in the future. You're being a part of the solution. What if they keep doing it? If someone in your community is repeatedly misgendering someone, if they are ignoring attempts to correct the misgendering, remove them from the voice call, from the community, from wherever the misgendering is happening. If this person refuses to listen to correction, if they are ignoring people who are telling them the correct pronouns to use, they are unsafe. You do not want them in your community. As a community leader, it is your responsibility to keep your community safe, to not tolerate intolerance in any form. If multiple people in your community are misgendering someone, it is your job to speak up and tell the whole community that you will not tolerate that behavior, to show them how to do better. Lead by example. If you truly want to build a safe space for non-binary, trans, LGBTQ+ people in general, you need to have the courage to tell your community what is expected of them and remove problem individuals. If you have a no discrimination, no transphobia rule in your community, this is when you enforce it. For most people, it is an honest mistake. A correction or two will be enough to get them on the right track. But when the misgendering is repeated, constant, when you correct someone and they immediately misgender the person again, that's not a mistake. That's a problem. Finally, let's talk prevention. How do you get ahead of this? How do you make trans and non-binary people feel safe and welcome in your community? Step 1, don't assume anything. Unless you know the person behind that username, don't assume their gender. Non-binary people typically don't announce their gender in their username. Or if they do, you might not recognize it. Trans folk might have a username they made before they came out, and assuming their gender based on that can be harmful. Guys can like pink. Girls can go by bro. You don't know until they tell you. And until they do, the best thing you can do is assume that everyone is a genderless blob. They are a name, nothing more. Call them by their name and use neutral pronouns for them until they tell you otherwise. Not only will this increase your overall inclusivity, but this will help you practice using they them pronouns for when you are talking to a non-binary person. And for non-binary people who maybe aren't out or totally sure of themselves yet, it gives them a safe space to experience neutral pronouns. There is also now a Google and Firefox extension that adds pronouns to Twitch chat. The link to this will be in the top line of the description. Please, please, please install it. It's wonderful. It takes like 5 minutes to set up. It's great. It's free. And you can see everyone's pronouns in chat. It's perfect. I no longer have to question or wonder. I can see when someone comes into my chat. If they have their pronouns set, I know what to call them. It takes all of the guesswork out. Step 2. Share your pronouns. Put them in your bio, whether you are cis or trans or non-binary. It's good to put your pronouns in your bio so that people know how to refer to you. Doing this as a cis person helps normalize it. By sharing your pronouns, cisgender people can establish that sharing pronouns is not simply done in LGBTQ+ settings, but in all settings. While you might think that there's no way you could be misgendered, cis people sharing their pronouns deconstructs the idea that everyone's gender can be assumed, which is something that often results in the misgendering of non-binary and trans individuals. What's important to remember is that the purpose of allyship, of being more inclusive, is not what you can do for you, but what you can do in support of someone else. When you get rated on Twitch, the #1 best thing you can do is give yourself an intro. Hello, my name is, my pronouns are, I stream, art, games, whatever you do. Not only does this open the dialogue for people to tell you their pronouns, it helps promote your content, the kind of community you are building. In these 3 little sentences, tell people who you are, what you do, and that you are inclusive. You can invite people to share their pronouns in chat. Whether or not they choose to, you have opened that dialogue and given people the opportunity to speak their truth. If you do this, don't assume people's gender based on their username, maybe install that Twitch extension, you are more likely to retain those viewers. Step 3. Move gendered language. We have all gotten used to using guys, dude, man as neutral terms. But these are inherently gendered terms. Our language has historically used male-coded words and prioritized male voices. While not every non-binary person is bothered by these terms, they are, by definition, not inclusive. They don't even include women. These are strictly male-gendered terms. Fight the patriarchy. Try to phase these out of your lexicon. Try just calling us viewers, chat, folks, peeps, friends. You can even just use everyone or you all. What does chat think? How's everyone doing today? What have you all been up to? If you truly feel the need to use strictly gendered terms like ladies and gentlemen, include a neutral option. Ladies, gentlemen, and friends beyond the binary is a personal favorite. I listened to a podcast I wasn't really enjoying for an extra 3 weeks, just because I finally felt seen. It's now been about 4 years, and I still listen to Sleep With Me every night, just because that one phrase made me feel seen and included. That's the kind of power words like these can have. There's lots of options. Google gender-neutral forms of address, and you will find lists upon lists. Take your pick. Find the one that works for you. As any amount of effort is better than none. Step 4. Inclusivity in your Discord server. Make pronoun roles. Have them be self-assignable if you can. There's lots of bots out there that can do this. Why do this? Because if anyone is ever unsure, they don't need to ask. All they need to do is click on my name, and they will see that my pronouns are they, them. They can see that this person is he, him, that that person is she, her, that this person uses he, she, they interchangeably. Never need to question it, and if you're not sure if someone is being misgendered, you can check. This makes it easy for anyone to check, anyone to correct, and no one has to assume. Why wouldn't you just put your pronouns in your username? Some servers do ask you to do this, because it makes it even less likely that someone can misgender you. Unfortunately, this can also be a deterrent. It feels kind of like a "hello, my name is" badge, and the individual may not want their pronouns constantly in everyone's face. Some people like it, some people don't. I'm in the don't camp. but it's because I frequent so many primarily cis communities that don't have pronoun roles that I have to do this to not be misgendered. And it feels gross being the only person in the server having my pronouns in my username. Similarly, if you have an introduction post that you ask people to make when they join your server, include pronouns by default. I always have to add a pronoun line to the introduction post, and no one else who posts it adds their pronouns. Have that by default. Encourage people to share their pronouns. By holding that space, you make it easier and less intimidating for non-binary people. Communication is messy, but the fact that you are trying to learn and be more inclusive to non-binary identities is a good thing. When you start opening up, you'll be surprised how many of us there really are on Twitch, all across the internet, all around the world. And a lot of these points we covered relate to other platforms, even things outside of streaming. In your YouTube videos, instead of defining something as he/she, use they. Not only is it inclusive, it is faster and easier to say, and, as we learned today, grammatically correct. Put your pronouns in all of your bios. Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Start your videos with gender-inclusive language. Pick a non-gendered name for your community and call them that. Deathlings, theorists, brains. Honestly, I'm writing this at 2 a.m. and I'm not coming up with any more. But safest bet is just, hello everyone, welcome back. If doing any of these things feels strange to you, maybe you need to ask yourself why. Maybe you're being influenced by some old prejudices. Maybe you're focusing on the wrong part of your viewers. Maybe you know somebody else who is. Maybe you should share this video with them. I hope we've all learned something today. I hope maybe I've opened your heart to something better and given you some tools that you can implement in your community. Non-binary people are valid. Trans people are valid. We want to support you, but we need you to make it safe for us to do so. So, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, share it, leave a nice comment, and don't feed the trolls. They aren't worth your energy. If you want more talky content from me, you can follow me on Twitch. I am live Mondays, Tuesdays, and Fridays doing art of some sort. Thank you to everyone who helped me on this video, especially my patrons over on Patreon. You all make it possible for me to do things like this and help guide my creative process. Links to all of my sources and further reading are in the description. Stay safe, be respectful, wear your mask. We're all in this together.